Hey Reddit, this isn't something I ever expected to write, but here we are. It's a long one, and honestly, I'm still shaking with a mix of heartbreak and rage. Let me preface this by saying I've never been the wicked stepmother. I married my husband when his daughter, Lexi, was 9. Her mother had passed a couple of years earlier, and she and I started off cautiously, but sweetly. I never pushed to be her mom, but I've always tried to be a reliable, steady presence. I've picked her up from school, helped with projects, cried with her during her first breakup, and even taught her to drive. Now, she's 26, and getting married. Or rather, she was. And I paid for every single part of that wedding, until she decided I wasn't good enough to be in it. Let's rewind. Lexi got engaged to her longtime boyfriend, Tyler, in January of last year. When they came to us with the news, I hugged her tight and even cried a little. I was genuinely happy for her. She looked so in love and thrilled. A few weeks later, she and Tyler came over for dinner and brought up the subject of the wedding budget. They said they wanted to have a beautiful but not overly lavish ceremony. Lexi looked directly at me and said, "I'd love it if you could help plan it with me. You always know how to make things feel special." I was touched. At the time, my husband and I agreed to contribute about $15,000 toward the wedding. We'd do it in monthly payments and help with specific vendors. Lexi and Tyler were paying for some of the costs too, but the bulk was on us. Or rather, on me. My husband had recently lost his job and was freelancing, so I took on most of the burden using my income and credit. And I didn't mind. I love Lexi like she's mine. She calls me by my first name, never mom, but there's love. Or at least I thought. As we started booking venues, photographers, florists, and so on, I noticed a subtle shift. Lexi started referring to everything as her vision. My suggestions were sometimes brushed off or ignored altogether. She'd say things like, "I'm so glad you're helping pay, it means I can really make this my dream day." Not our planning, not with your help. Just, her dream. I let it go. She's young. It's her wedding. I kept reminding myself I wasn't doing this for credit. I just wanted her to be happy. We got through the venue deposit, $4,500, catering down payment, $2,000, and florist, $1,200, in the first 3 months. I was careful, paying each vendor through scheduled monthly payments. My credit card company allowed me to split big expenses into long-term plans, so I wouldn't feel it all at once. I figured it was worth the effort. Then came the bridal party selection. I assumed I'd be helping with the bridal shower, dresses, the usual things a stepmother might be involved in. Lexi even asked me to go dress shopping with her mom's sister and 2 friends. I felt honored. 2 weeks later, during a lunch she invited me to, she told me she wanted to talk to me about the ceremony roles. I honestly thought she was going to ask me to do a reading or help walk her down the aisle alongside her father, something small and symbolic. Instead, she said, completely calmly, "So, I've decided I want my biological mom to be honored by having her place in the ceremony. That means I'm having Aunt Sarah stand in as matron of honor, and I'm going to have Dad walk me down the aisle by himself." I blinked. "Oh, okay. That's fine. I assumed your dad would walk you. What about the bridal party? Do you want me to help with that?" She looked down at her plate and said, "Actually, I've decided not to have you in the wedding party at all." I felt my heart drop. "What? Why?" She hesitated. "It's just, I want to keep it family. You know, blood. And I don't want things to get awkward." Awkward? After I'd planned 80% of this wedding? After I'd dropped thousands of dollars? I tried to stay composed. I asked her if I'd done anything to offend her. She said no. She just wanted her real family to be the center of attention that day. Then she said, "I hope you understand. You're still welcome to attend, of course." Still welcome? I sat there quietly and finished lunch, but I couldn't eat. I drove home in silence. I didn't even tell my husband right away. I needed time to think. A week later, I got an email from the wedding planner I was working with, that I paid for, saying the bridal party meeting was being moved to a different day. I wasn't included on the new schedule. When I called Lexi, she said, "Oh, yeah, I meant to tell you. Since you're not technically in the party, I didn't think you'd need to be there." I felt humiliated. Utterly used. That night, I sat down and opened my online payment portal. Every expense I had covered, venue, photographer, caterer, even the customized wedding favors, had been set up with pay over time plans. And every single one of them was in my name. I stared at the numbers. I added them up. $12,720. With $4,800 more scheduled to process within the next 60 days. And in that moment, something in me clicked. I sat with it for a few days. I wanted to make sure I wasn't acting out of pure spite. But then I had a conversation with Lexi that sealed it. I asked her directly, "Why would you ask me to help pay for a wedding where I'm not even considered part of the family?" She replied, with the most dismissive tone, "I didn't ask you to pay. You offered." My mouth hung open. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then she added, "It's not about money, it's about honoring the people who've always been there for me." I stared at the girl I helped raise for nearly 2 decades. The girl I stayed up with during high school breakups, the girl I held through her college rejections, who lived rent-free in our home while job hunting. I was suddenly a wallet. Not a person. So I did what she claimed wouldn't matter. I pulled every single payment plan. First, I canceled the automatic payment for the venue. Within 48 hours, I got a call from the manager asking why the card bounced. I explained I was no longer financially responsible for the event. Then I did the same for the catering, the florist, and the photographer. One by one. I didn't even get angry phone calls. Just confused ones. Lexi didn't call me right away. But her fiancé did. "Are you seriously going to screw up our wedding because you're not a bridesmaid?" I calmly said, "No. I'm pulling out because I was never a family member in your eyes, only a wallet. You two can cover your dream day yourselves." 2 hours later, Lexi showed up at our house. Crying. She said she didn't mean to hurt me, and it was just hard trying to honor her mom. That it was her one day and she was under a lot of pressure. She begged me not to ruin it. I asked her, "Would your mom have wanted me treated like this? After everything?" She said nothing. Then she asked the one question I was waiting for, "So, are you going to reinstate the payments?" I said, "No." She stormed out. My husband was caught in the middle. He said he didn't agree with how she treated me, but also asked if I could just let it go for the sake of peace. I told him, I'd been letting it go for 17 years. I'm done being the peacekeeper when no one cares about keeping peace with me. He didn't argue. He just nodded. I think he knew I was right, even if he didn't like it. The wedding is 3 weeks away. They've had to change venues and scale back massively. The new plan is a backyard wedding with a small guest list. She hasn't spoken to me since. I'm not invited. I don't think I'll ever be invited again. Not into her life, not into her family. But I'm not angry anymore. I grieved. I cried. I felt like I'd been mourning the end of a relationship no one else realized had ended. But now, I feel free. Free from guilt. Free from financial obligation. Free from pretending.